Okay, I am in the process of seeing if everything's working. Okay, I am in the process of seeing if everything's working. And it seems to be okay, I am in the process of... So we got X going, it sounds good. Gotta go see how everything's looking. So we got X going, Rumble's looking good. How everything's Twitch is looking good. Odyssey still for some reason is causing me issues. I don't have any clue why, but it is. See, still okay. YouTube is good. Here lately I've been having to actually open another tab and close the old one because of Odyssey. It's been acting strange, so I ended up having a lot of mess ups, or a mess up last night when I was gaming. Alright, so we got a lot of mess. There we go. I'm sure it has something to do with my browser, but that's alright, I guess. So tonight I am running a little bit late. I've got things set up and ready to go on all the channels. I'm going to go get me a cigarette, smoke a cigarette real quick, and then I'll be back on to do this. If anybody is in here and wants to check out the show, feel free to stick around. It'll be give it at least 15 more minutes, so about 10:30 I'll start the show, get it going. Like before, I didn't have too much of a chance to do any talking points, but I did set some stuff up. I'll go through it. I really don't think tonight's going to be a 3-hour stream, so just letting everybody know ahead of time. And yes, it's late at night, so there's really no real purpose I'm seeing for doing a 3-hour stream, to be honest with you. I checked all my audio out. Everything seems to be working. Keeping an eye out on this stuff with OBS, so I've been noticing some strange and peculiar stuff happening there. So let me go get my smoke in, and I will be back. I could probably put some of my weirdo stuff on here. Let me... I don't know. Seems weird. Oh, I'm going to the wrong place. Put in some cool frickin' background music for you guys. Alright, I am back. So, I have like 7 minutes left that I can use on here, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. I checked all the audio out, and I got everything set up and ready to go. It looks like it's pretty good. I can use it for a last minute checkup though. Hey, yeah, everything's going good on Odyssey. Use it for a last. Everything going good on YouTube. I can use it for a last. X is good. Use it for a last. And so is Rumble. Good, as well as Twitch. So everything's up and running now. Like I told you guys before, I do that because I want to double check on my live streams and stuff like that. And I know people say that that's annoying to do, but I do that for a reason as well, because audio checks are very important, and for anybody who's out there who watches these, they need to understand that this is the kind of stuff that you do every single time. Before you do any stream, you always check your audio, not just on a recording or in private, but you do it on the stream itself as well, because you never know what's going on that stream whenever you start doing this thing. You could be doing an entire stream and nobody's hearing it, you know. So it's always good to make sure your voice is showing up. So I wasted enough time doing that, and what I'm going to do is do my countdown now and start the show. So here we go. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Live with Roger Hanson. Tonight is a special night. It's the last of my 12-part stream for this season. I usually do 12 streams for all of the episodes that I do. Don't know why I chose 12, but it just seems to be the magic number from what I've seen when it comes to doing videos and streaming. So, and believe it or not, 12 videos is actually overkill. Oh, and on my chat I have WPRPN. I actually have that right this time because I can see the word, but that would be Jaffe and the crew over at WPRPN, the Pirate Network Radio. Pretty cool people. So thanks for saying something in my chat on Odyssey. I appreciate that, guys. Okay, now, like I said before I started doing my recording, I did pull up a little bit of some talking points, but I really didn't get to go through too much of it. I can tell you, though, that it has been another interesting week, and if you're not making this a part of your show and you are streaming, then you're an idiot. It's a second attempt on Donald Trump. I'll be bringing that up, but what I want to do is I want to go through some of the stuff that I have been doing outside of this whole live streaming and doing the talking points and stuff like that. Now here lately I have been having to deal with a lot of things concerning Odyssey. That's something that I keep forgetting to always mention, because I keep talking Odyssey up about the stuff that they've been doing with R Drive and permaweb and stuff like that. But let me make it and I also do the whole thing about the live stream. But let me also make it clear, it does have its flaws. The one thing that I have an issue with Odyssey is, like last night, whenever I was doing my episodes of Skate 3 for my gaming, for some reason, every time I get on here and I do the streams, I end up having issues with the download option, which is one of the benefits of Odyssey, okay, where if people put stuff on Odyssey and they stream or they upload recordings, you have the option of watching it, and you can also download their content, you know. And I think that's a great option. That's one of the few only reasons why I get on Odyssey and do it. But here lately, and it's been going on for a while. It's been going on for about 2 or 3 months, maybe even a little bit longer, where when I go in and I do the downloads on there, sometimes the downloads don't come down or don't download correctly. Half of the video is completely just screwed up. So, and the reason why I know that is because I take my videos off of the internet and then I edit them with Blender. And about halfway through, the freaking video is just gone. You know what I mean? It causes an issue with Blender to the point where it crashes because I keep trying to go past that certain point where the video is not good. So it does have issues there, and I know that it's Odyssey, because what I end up having to do is go back into Odyssey, download it again, and usually the next time I download it, it's a perfectly fine file, but sometimes it happens with the first download. So that's one issue that I've had when it comes to Odyssey. And another one is something that happened last night whenever I was streaming the games. Now, I was streaming the last episode for Skate 3, and after it was done, it was like, and I knew, or I know it was playing. I know that everything was fine on it, and there was no problem, because like right now, I'm looking at my Odyssey screen, you know, so I know that it's playing. But when I go into update and Polish replay, the replay's gone. It's just vanished. Okay. Now, this is one of the reasons why I do like Odyssey, is because when something like that is happening and my OBS is recording at the same time like it's doing at this moment, I can take the OBS copy and I can go into the replays and I can just upload that recorded version into it, and it would fix the problem. Well, last night was one of those nights where I wasn't recording, because I usually don't record with my gaming videos at the same time. I've also wanted to use Odyssey in order to do some of these games, because there's editing that I want to do to it so that it can be an upload on YouTube. And that was one of the purposes for me streaming on Odyssey, you know. So when I did that, I went in and I did the last one, and it wasn't anywhere. Thank goodness that I was actually streaming on Twitch, because that gave me a chance to have a backup. Well, the only problem with that is that it's in vertical, and that's the little square that's in the middle of the screen. Just so if anybody doesn't understand what I'm talking about, that's what it is. That's the format they have whenever you see all those shorts and everything on YouTube. They're doing it in vertical. So I ended up getting that copy, and it's still salvageable. I can take the little screen and I can put it on Blender, and then I can adjust the screen accordingly on Blender to where it's full screen, and then add it onto Odyssey. But it's a real inconvenience, you know, because if you haven't noticed, I always do a lot of content. I have a work schedule basically when it comes to doing this stuff, and I go according to schedule on the stuff that I have to do, and at what times during the week that I do them. So it kind of slows me down, backs me up, And that's the issue that I had. You know what I mean? I ended up. Those are the issues. Now, it's like I said with the whole uh, Sinclair. Is Sinclair a Dutch name? uh, Long John Sinclair. Okay, you're gonna have to ask WPRMP that Parabellum Agagite, because I have no clue. That was from Odyssey. Just so you guys know, I appreciate that. That caught me off guard. But yeah, you know, and like I said, or like I was getting ready to say, I would have had, or I have no issue with it, with the fact that I can actually upload a video to take its place, you know. So that is that's an advantage that I believe Odyssey has over a lot of or all of the other platforms, because I don't see that option anywhere else. And that's the one thing that I do like about it. You know, and the reason why I wanted to bring this up, it wasn't to down Odyssey and say bad things about it, but it is true. In these last episodes, I have been boasting Odyssey up a lot higher than what it really should be, and that's my bad. I got real excited about the permaweb and checking out all the information on there, and finding out about R Drive. And I do want to also mention something about that too, considering this is the last episode I'm doing until next year. This stuff is extremely expensive. My buddy Dave on Skype pointed that out to me first, so I went in and I checked it out, and he is right. This stuff is extremely expensive. The prices, when they drop, though, I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to be the way of the future, you know. I've had conversations with Minds Gaming over this, and he doesn't agree with me. He's still stuck on the past, doing a lot of old programs and shit. But I'm going to tell you right now, and I think a lot of open sourcers have an issue with that, because like it really doesn't conform to what a lot of them feel is open source, you know. Where because you hear all of these stories and this folklore about the internet, where if you put it on there, there's no deleting it, it's always there. Which that has its own little bit of a back and forth controversy between these guys, because yeah, of course the stuff does disappear, but there is something today that we refer to as the dark web, and it's not really a dark web. This is just useless information that has been lost over the years, you know what I mean, and it's just floating out there, and it's referred to as the dark web, you know. So that is that kind of deals with a lot of this stuff when it comes to it can't be deleted. No, it doesn't get deleted. What it does is it disappears into this fog of darkness that nobody knows about. You know what I mean? But it's still there. So that's the whole thing. And when it comes to a lot of open sourcers, they really don't agree with the idea of taking something and putting it up on the internet and it's permanent there. And that's just my observation. It's what I see. But I also see that as a positive thing too, because like say, okay, for example, Jaffe, you know, Jaffe is having problems with getting on these platforms, and these platforms, you know, freaking deleting his shit. You know, they delete his shit and they freaking stop them from doing freaking stuff on their platform. But if there was a permaweb where you go on there and you put your stuff on that website, then it's there. There's nobody that's going to be able to get rid of it. It is always going to be there. So in that aspect, prevents all of these platforms from taking your shit and just being done with it. You know what I mean? So that is something that I see. I also have, me personally, I have a issue with all of this node bullshit. You know what I mean? The Fediverse and all of this crazy shit. I find it useless. I find it like a freaking graveyard where freaking dinosaur websites go to freaking die. And that's kind of the way that I do see it. Now, a lot of people have a problem with that, but I personally do feel that way when it comes to getting caught up in stuff like that. Um, I think that freaking autonomy is more important than being decentralized. You know what I mean? I think that whenever it comes to having my stuff put out there on the internet, I want it to be autonomous. I want it to be separate from everybody else's. If you want to come to my website and check out my stuff, then that's cool. I don't want to have my shit just pushing everywhere, you know what I mean? So yeah, here you go. Parabellum says it's on there, but if you fact checked it and make slow changes to it, you can all but remove what it is, like the Bible. Oh my goodness. You're comparing the Bible to the freaking internet. You know something's wrong with that picture. So, but I get what you're saying. It is true, Parabellum. I appreciate the feedback on that. Now, for me, my whole issue has always been the fact that a lot of people are buying into this Fediverse and stuff like that. Minds.com has even recently started doing it as well, and that's something that I have had some issues with. That I really don't like the idea of that. First, the whole thing about monetization and things of that nature. I know what all that's about. Whenever that you get caught up into that, with the Fediverse and things like that, you might as well just take real money and throw it out the window, because it gets insane, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I play around with cryptocurrency too. I've done the whole Mint Me thing with Minds Gaming and Bob Dub and all of them, and I'm cool at playing, you know, the Mint Me game, but I know that their currency is worthless. Okay. It's the same thing with these off-chain tokens that you get from Minds.com. They are worth absolutely nothing when it comes to monetary value. And I've seen the signs happening with their monetization program on their tier systems whenever they started taking away the cash options from the off-chain or the on-chain, making money off of Minds Plus, which I did have. I'm not gonna lie, and I have no problem with telling people, you know, that's why I got Minds Plus, was for the freaking money. I mean, I didn't get on Minds Plus for quality freaking bullshit, because there's no such thing as quality videos and articles and all that stuff on Minds Plus. And you go on there, you see freaking memes, and you see freaking gifs, and you see fur babies, and you see nature stuff, you know what I mean? And that's it. There's nobody putting quality content on there. I see the same thing on regular Minds that I seen on Minds Plus, and I had Minds Plus for 2 years too, just so everybody knows. Okay, this isn't something I'm just saying. It got to the point where I didn't even go to the Minds Plus tab anymore. When I was posting on it, I did it on my own profile, and I freaking made sure that it went on the Minds Plus rather than on the regular Minds, and that was it. But I did do that so that I could get paid for it, you know. And it wasn't very much. I mean, I made about altogether, I would say about 200 $300 in yeah, I'd say about $300 in 2 years, and that was it, you know. So it wasn't very much. It was just enough to where I could just barely get the amount back that I made on it, and then make a profit off of it. You know, because like when it comes to doing that stuff, that hold on, let me see what it says here. Parabellum says, have you ever noticed that we cannot make cities from the past? If you look closely, you'll see bigger doors and door handles. That's a normal that a normal man can't reach. Things are not what they seem. Well, yeah, I guess. If you look closely, you'll see bigger doors and door handles that a normal man can't reach. Now, I really don't understand where that's coming from. You'll have to relate to me or elaborate on that for me, Parabellum. It's a interesting concept, though, but kind of elaborate on that so that I can get an idea of what you're talking about. But yeah, the whole thing there was that was the first flag that went up, or it should have gone up whenever I noticed it. You know, I did get frustrated about it, and I spoke my mind. But I think what it comes down to is, like, you have all these people who are on Minds.com who thinks that this stuff is worth something, and in like boosting, you know, that was an example that was thrown at me, and that was the best example they have. Well, you know, you get to do these boosts with these off-chain tokens, and if you were on other platforms, you'd have to pay for them. Well, you know, I don't boost. Everything that I've ever posted is purely organic, okay? I've been against boosting and promoting for a very, very long time. I think that that's a bullshit way of doing things. I don't think that freaking people should go out and earn their freaking hard-earned dollar working 40 hours, maybe even longer a week, just to come home and use the promote button on their YouTube channel. I think that that's a waste of good money. You know what I mean? So for me, that doesn't apply, because even with those, my off-chain tokens on Minds.com are just sitting still. I don't use them at all whatsoever. They're just there. I used them twice, and I didn't even get the reach from those freaking those times that I put into it. Like, I actually spent more in these tokens and got less, you know. So I decided that I wasn't going to do that. But there's people who think that that's worth something, you know what I mean? And I don't think that it is, because I've been actually paying more attention to the analytics than what I did when I first started doing all this stuff. And I've been noticing that there's something called freaking organic reach, which everybody isn't really aware of, okay? And with your views, okay, and organic reach, what you're getting there is you're getting real contact, you know what I mean? You're getting real views. In other words, these are actual views of people who are watching your content, all right? And when you get those, what happens is you get better reach. You get more quality interaction with the people that are around. Now, if you go in there and you hit the promote button and the boost button, what happens is all of these people are getting your shit that they don't like. a lot of them don't want to see what you're posting up there. A lot of them don't like what you're posting up there, but they're seeing it. So all of a sudden things get complicated. Now you have a click rate, okay, and everybody loves the click rate. I don't understand why they like the click rate, but they love it. And the truth is click rate is bad. When you get high click rates, when you get like a 6 on click rates, that means that you're going to get a lot of trolls. You're going to get a lot of people who downvote and all that good stuff that don't like your content. You're going to get a lot of people who watch only 15 seconds of your video, which is going to screw up your analytics. You know what I mean? Bots. That's right, Parabellum. You're going to get a lot of bots. You're going to be invaded by these things, man. They're going to be all over your shit. So that's the thing about the promote buttons. You know, I've been comparing Rumble, their analytics compared to YouTube here lately, and I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but like on Rumble doesn't have that promote option. I haven't seen it, at least. They could have it, but I haven't personally seen a promote option on there. And I've been watching some suggestions that Mark Edworthy pointed out to me, and about views and stuff like that. And a lot of them have like a bad taste in their mouth over Rumble, and they say that they don't want to actually transfer their videos over to Rumble and use Rumble because they're not getting the amount of views. Well, I've been comparing like my views on Rumble compared to my views on YouTube, and the truth of the matter is I'm actually not doing very bad on my views when it comes to it, because they're organic. Okay, now one of the guys, or one of the people channels that was talking about this, was showing their views. Okay, and I was looking at it according, because they're a big channel, and I was looking at it according to their analytics, and the truth of the matter is freaking they have shit freaking videos. That's what it is, you know. On YouTube they can take and put out a shit video that's horrible, that nobody freaking likes, and they can just hit boost and bam, the analytics go up, you know. Whereas like me, I mean, all my content that I've been putting on there has been freaking edited. It's been it has good content. It has everybody that I've live streamed with. I mean, these are great people with great topics. They're not freaking, you know, people who are famous. They're not people who are known on the internet. Well, they are in certain crowds, you know what I mean, but they're not big names, and they've been doing good. I've actually done about I've been able to get freaking my unique views according to raw views. I'm always staying just under 50%, which is really good. Okay, when it comes to that, and it's been that way since I started. So this person who has this huge channel is sitting there showing his analytics, and he has less than a third in views than what raw views, or you know what I mean, a third of unique views compared to his raw views. So I know, hold on, I'm gonna have to pause for my Odyssey is screwing up again. Find out if anything's screwing up. See, on my OBS it says that everything's running fine, no problems, but then everything starts messing around on the loading thing. But what it is he's getting freaking a third in unique views compared to raw views on his Rumble account. So that right there is when I started noticing it has to do with this promote thing, you know. And everybody's buying into it, and they're thinking that it's so great, and it's not really all that great. There's nothing good about that. It's very, very shady when it comes to doing things. Okay, stop taking your money and putting it into promoting and boosting and all that other stuff. Because I'm going to tell you something that I learned when it comes to this stuff. When people who do that don't get back the same amount that they put into their videos. Okay, and you have to take into consideration the amount of money that you had to spend on the equipment you're using. Okay, now I spent a pretty penny on building this computer, and I've mentioned it before on my streams. Okay, and I haven't even incorporated that into the amount of money that I've spent on this, which I'll probably never make that money back, you know. But it needs to be there, you know what I mean. Plus, when it comes to not just that, but you have to think about. I just did a freaking subscription to X Prime or Premium. You know, I'd like to make my money back from that too. I was lucky enough to at least make my money back on Mines Plus when I did that one before this one, and the only reason is because Bashy was nice enough to give me, I think it was $6 on Mines Plus to where I could reach the $100 threshold and be able to cash out. If that didn't happen, I would have been screwed. There was quite a few people who were on Mines Plus that got screwed over when they stopped doing that, because they were right there at the $97, $98 threshold, and they just only needed like maybe less than $10 to freaking cash out, and they weren't able to. You don't hear about that, you know. And a lot of the people that I've been networking with and talking to, they don't seem to have a problem with that either, you know. Like, you know, I'm just such a bad person because freaking I thought that it would be a good idea to get paid for the content that I'm putting out, you know. So that's the attitude that I have about it, you know. It's not really a content creator friendly environment. This is a place where people just get on there and they want free shit, you know what I mean. They just want to type out their little messages and put memes on there, and everything can be happy and socialist, you know. So I'm not buying into that shit. I've been doing this stuff for too long for that kind of stuff to be going on. And to be honest with you, this was supposed to be my last year. I said freaking enough is enough, because I'm starting to figure out that freaking the internet is nothing but a freaking con. I mean, it really is. There isn't anything that you can get your interests in when it comes to the internet that is actually productive, where you can actually make a profit off of something, or freaking anything, make, you know, like create a business, whatever. You just cannot do it. A while back I was getting into selling novelty items like magic cards and stuff of that nature, so I got involved with eBay. And with eBay, I was trying to freaking just sell freaking magic cards, you know, trade them over the internet. It cost more money to freaking ship one magic card to another person than what the actual card was worth. I had a few people that bought them, you know what I mean, but the only thing is it just felt so bad because they had to pay more for the shipping prices on this card than what the actual card was worth. They could have walked down to a freaking, or they could have gone to their freaking, you know, shops and bought them cheaper there than what they did with me over the internet. And I find this everywhere, not just on platforms when it comes to streaming and stuff, but like with eBay, with any kind of stuff that you're wanting to do, selling seeds, you know what I mean, for planting. I was big on that. I did that. Same deal, man, you know. It's a scam is what I'm basically saying. The internet is probably the biggest scam that you could ever get involved in. At one time when I was younger, I remember they used to have these computer freaking teaching places. They had them everywhere. Like you could go down to the strip mall, which a lot of the younger people don't know what a strip mall is. But you could go down to a strip mall, and there was always some kind of place for teaching people how to do computers. And you'd go in there and talk to these people, and they're saying, computers are the way of the future. You're going to have to learn this stuff so that you can make a living, and you're going to have to learn this stuff so that you can create your own businesses and stuff. And that's not what it's turned into. It's turned into a plaything, you know what I mean, where people just go in and they play. And that's basically the deal. There's nothing serious-minded about the internet whatsoever. You can't set up your own business and do freaking stuff like they were talking about when I was younger, you know what I mean? Back then they were teaching people word perfect, you know, and saying that you're going to have to learn how to type. You know, I actually can type freaking like well over 60 words per minute, and I was never freaking taught by the schools. That was something my mom taught me because she went to one of these strip mall schools, and I had to play the little game where you typed out the word freaking cadabra, or you know, some word like that before the word hit the ground, kind of stuff. It was pretty cool game, you know, but I had to learn that stuff, and I learned how to do it. And now, today, you don't even have to freaking put your fingers on the freaking keyboard properly. You just go in there, tap it, your fingers around anywhere you want it. Heck, majority of people don't even use the computer anymore. It's on the phones, you know. It's basically set up that way to where it is just one big scam, you know what I mean, where people come on the internet, they get scammed. It's a form of entertainment. It has absolutely nothing to do with business-minded people who want... Well, you can be business-minded if you want to go in on AdSense and pay them even more money to put up a commercial for you. You know what I mean? That maybe that'll work. I haven't tried AdSense, but I do know that freaking you can do it that way. But other than that, that's what it is. You get on YouTube, and freaking gamers get more freaking views than what a person who wants to do gardening does. Now, if people who do gardening wants to make money off them, they get sponsors to come in and do it for you. You know what I mean? But other than that, no, it's not. Now, Parabellum also says, America Online is a controlled America. We were a lot freer before it. And I agree with you, Parabellum. Now, I'm a believer that it is not the internet that was the goal. I'm a believer that it's not the internet that was the goal. It's the weapon system tower that was gold. Now, weapon systems tower, with me, I always tell people ahead of time, you know, you got to take into consideration the truth about the internet, okay? Internet was never meant to be a free and open society, exchanging knowledge and all that bullshit, okay? You hear a lot of these crazy nerds talking about that shit, and that was farthest from the truth. That is not what the internet was. The internet was developed by the military. and they were gracious enough to allow this technology to us, the people, because we deserve to have that good stuff, don't we deserve to have all of this internet freedom that everybody seems to have created a folklore for, that, oh, it was a free and open exchange of ideas and all this crazy dumb shit. No, that's not what it was. It was a system that was set up so that this government could hand it out to the people, and then they could stretch their influence from the government outward to everybody else. So that's the reason why we have Snowden, okay, who's sitting in Russia right now, hiding out from the United States government. It's because he openly told them, no, look, they're spying on you. Okay, they're stealing your information and spying on you and trying to figure out what the hell you're doing. They don't care about spying just on China or just on Russia. They're interested in spying on me and you. They want to know what we are doing. Okay, so yeah, that's what I believe too. I believe that it's a weapon systems, but it's meant to freaking spy on everybody. They want to know everybody's shit. You know what I mean? And that's what the internet is. And nobody seems to realize that. They don't realize that the internet was actually created by the government. And Mark gets irritated when I say the government, but by the military is what I should say. This was done on purpose, and everybody falls for that stuff. So that was something that I did want to bring up at one point, and I almost forgot to. So I do appreciate you bringing that up for me. And I believe that with the internet, okay, with it being the way it is and the way it's set up, I believe that it's set up to make people dumb. You know what I mean? I do believe that. You're talking about the 5G towers. Parabellum says the 5G towers are not even being used for cellular and computers. The towers can be used at setting up 10 more levels into 6G. I'm so sick of hearing the G word. It's really getting crazy how much these people are actually pushing that stuff. So it's something that I think that's going to end up being an issue. I think that they really need to chill it on how powerful this stuff is getting, because to be honest with you, there does need to be more research. It's just like and you'll never hear of any of the negative influences that this stuff has had on people. Like back in the early 2000s, they were talking about how you need to keep these cell phones away from your head because it emits radiation into your freaking ear. And they kept preaching about that for the longest time. And these corporations kept denying the fact that that was true. But then all of a sudden the phones went to flat phone, and they had a perfect example for it. You know what I mean? It was to help you to where you didn't have to drive with the phone to your ear and all this dumb shit, but at the same time, freaking it got rid of the whole controversy about the phone being up to your ear and causing radiation and hearing problems, I believe was what it was. And that all just kind of went away. Like, you never hear people talking about it. Another thing I noticed too that kind of went away was about these stewardess when they were talking about going up on flights. They would go to a lot of places. They were always working, always up in the air, and they found out, or they were making claims, I shouldn't say they were found out, but they were making claims that because they were in that high of an altitude, that the radiation levels were higher, and they were actually getting sick from it. And it actually did hit a lot of circles during that time period, but it didn't get very much traction. And if you notice, nobody talks about it anymore. And I've recently heard that stewardess and uh, um, marshals have all had their hours reduced from uptime in airplanes because of their U.S. Marshals, because of the amount of travel they have. So that was actually taken care of below the radar, you know what I mean? So that it didn't get very much traction. And that's what I think is going to happen with this 5G. Eventually, they're going to start figuring it out, and they're going to start cracking down on that, and it's going to go away. It's just like the VR headsets. A lot of people don't know that you have to be 13 or older to do it, because they don't have the information that's available to do a proper study on the effects that those VR goggles are going to have on kids or just anybody over a certain amount of time. At one time they were just letting everybody put them on. They didn't care how old you were, and eventually they started changing it around that to where you have to be 13 years or older before you could do that. I think they started putting that into place right around the time YouTube got in trouble about about allowing minors to stream on YouTube and get monetized and stuff. It was right around then, I believe. So that is a good topic. I just don't think that they are going to be. I don't think that anybody's going to actually hear about what actually takes place at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Just like all the other examples that I've mentioned. You can check. I haven't found anybody come up with any kind of explanation for why they went from flip top to flat phones, you know, other than the fact that they're flat, you know. But there's really no reasoning behind it. And people were talking about putting those phones up to your ear and it causing radiation, you know. So for me, I get on the internet and I do all this stuff. Don't get me wrong, you know, but I have gotten to the point where I basically I don't have any confidence in it. And I've been doing this for a while. I really have. I've just now started to do these live streams. That was within the last year, you know. I've actually deleted more on my channels than what I've actually gotten posted up. I believe that I may have started doing my streams back in 2017 or 2016. I'm not quite sure, but before that I was like messing around on my Facebook and doing blogs and stuff of that nature. So it's kind of foggy when it comes to thinking about all of that and how long I've been doing it. Okay, and for me, I have found nothing that has been productive when it comes to the internet. Trying to do something for yourself and trying to be creative, because see, when you start trying to be creative on the internet, they try to shut you down. Okay, and that's the way it works. That's the reason why people are getting censored. It's because they want to be creative and they want to talk and discuss things that are on their minds. But oh no, we can't have that. We've got to censor that out. You've got to go according to protocol. You got to go according to the way they want you to do it. You know. For me personally, I have an issue with a lot of this stuff, like with this new thing that's going on about vaccinations and stuff of that nature. You know what I mean? I'm in the United States, okay, and in the United States, we have a constitution that doesn't allow other laws and organizations outside of our country to supersede our laws. You see what I'm saying? So when I get on YouTube and they tell me that I have to abide by the World Health Organization and their guidelines, they're infringing on my constitutional rights. Okay? And that's just the way it is. Now, I don't know how Canada is, because I know that they've just recently gotten their own constitution. I don't know for sure, you know what I mean, how that all works. England is pretty much a joke. They're just falling in line doing it. They're probably in cahoots with the EU and all of them and abiding by that kind of shit. Same goes with all the other British colonies. That they're all one and the same. Don't be fooled by that, you know. But for me personally, that's what I'm saying when it comes to this country and my rights. They're being infringed on by YouTube because they're telling me that I have to abide by the EU and the World Health Organization and the UN, which that's pretty fucked up, if you ask me. But that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about with this censorship thing. You know what I mean? People who are getting on here and they're actually trying to freaking create something that they agree with, then that's being censored out. So what you've got, Parabellum says, when the banks fail, people will throw away society numbers because it's broke. So they want to have a cellular phone numbers to ID you. KYC, know your caller. Yeah, I agree with you. It's all tracking. Break it all up. You know what I mean? It's like, how many people actually know what their own phone numbers are today? That's something that a lot of people don't even realize. They don't even know what their own phone number is. They have to go in and they have to hit their phone information so they can dig it up. It's really amazing to me. I've seen that actually happen with a lot of people. They don't do it. Back when I was younger, man, I always knew my phone number from heart. Today I don't even have a phone, to be honest with you. I despise them. And it's not the fact that they're a phone, you know what I mean? It's the fact that freaking there's all this shit that's involved with it. You know, they want you to carry it around with you at all times. You know what I mean? It's like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Why the hell do I need to have a phone that I need to carry around at all times? Well, what if we need to get in touch with you? Well, you can call me at home. That's where the landline is. Call me at home. If I'm not there, then you can call back until you do get in touch with me. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. People think that it's so important that you get contacted when you're out on the streets doing business. You know what I mean? So it kind of amazes me how dumbed down people have become when it comes to this technology. You know, earlier I was talking about, you know, trying to make a profit off of the things you put into it, you know, and everybody hitting the promote button. Now, I was raised up to believe that when I spend $50, I need to make $150 back. That's just the general way that things are done, you see. And this is the way that freaking our parents and our grandparents were taught. And today, in today's world, if you listen to these people and you listen to the younger generations, they're really big on trying to freaking vilify the past even, and say that their ways were the wrong ways, our ways are the right way. And it's not, you know. I mean, if the way your life is today is so great, then why is all this shit happening? It's because you're not fucking learning. You're getting dumbed down. You know what I mean? It has absolutely nothing to do with your life being better. Okay, that's just not happening. Your life is not getting better because of the stuff that you believe in today. It's just not happening, you know. And I truly do believe that. I believe that a lot of it is getting way out of hand when it comes to people believing in that shit. And I'm sorry, but I do. I believe that we are freaking. There was an old movie that came out when I was younger, and I loved it to death. But now I see it coming to. It's coming to, basically, for today. And what it was is these two parents. They got freaking. I guess it's abducted by aliens, but what happened is they were driving their car and they got sucked into a vortex to this planet filled with idiots. Okay? And these idiots were so stupid they couldn't freaking even do anything on their own. You know what I mean? And these two were just like a husband and wife, and they were. They were pushed down on there, and they were just average people, but they were freaking geniuses compared to these people. You know what I mean? And they had like this little hand grenade where it said "pick me up," and it was sitting on the ground, and these idiots would, instead of throwing these grenades, all they would do is drop the grenade on the ground, and these idiots would walk up and see "pick me up," and they'd pick the grenade up, and they would be vaporized. So that grenade would drop to the ground without exploding, and then the next idiot would walk up, pick up the grenade, and get vaporized too, you know. And this is the same kind of society that I'm seeing happen here in real life today, you know, because I believe that a lot of these young people are idiots. You know, they don't understand that there's a way that they need to behave, you know. You don't spend your entire life in front of a computer playing a video game and screw everything else. You know what I mean? You need to go out and you need to participate with people. You know, those people that you go to school with, go hang out with those kids. Freaking go do things that are away from your house, away from your computer, away from your video game. You know, be a part of life. There used to be kids playing in the frickin' streets and out in the yards and stuff like that, hanging out with one another, getting dirty, you know what I mean? You don't see that stuff anymore. Austin Todd, somebody that I do a show with on the Wonderful World of Weirdness, brought it up just here recently, and I thought about it, and it's true. It's like, here's a question for all of you guys. I'll share it with you. Name the last time you saw your neighbors taking groceries in from the store. When was the last time that you've actually seen any of your neighbors bringing the groceries in? And I stopped and thought about it, and I can't remember the last time I actually saw my neighbors bringing their groceries in. It's been that long, you know. It's something to think about. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So I need to keep track on how long I've actually been streaming, because I didn't think I was going to be able to get this much content. I really did bad. Like I have actually been doing other things, and I got caught up with a lot of weird shit that I do want to go through, but I got distracted. I shouldn't have started out with Odyssey, you know what I mean? That's just one thing that I should never have done. So with that, that's on me. Now, I am at 57 minutes. I could go ahead and do the Mayan song from Austin for a while, and then come back and start on the next topic. Now, I when I do this, I try to talk about video games and stuff like that, because I am doing it on Twitch on my gaming channel. So I want to come back and maybe get into some of the stuff that I've been going over with my games and things of that nature. So plus I do want to cover freaking the politics thing because of this new assassination attempt. I think that that's something that does need to be discussed, and it kind of goes into what I was talking about here, you know, with the environment and the way that people are thinking, and just the insanity compared to before. You know what I mean? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up the Mayan song, and then I'll be back and we can start from there, or start with the gaming and stuff. So stick around, guys. Go get yourself a soda, smoke a cigarette, whatever you need, make some coffee, and I'll be back here in a little bit.
By 750 AD, as the warfare and sacrifices only increased, overworked land also began to lead to massive crop failures. The crop failures led to food shortages, famine across the land, and deforestation from overbuilding put an end to the growth of the city-states. By 900 AD they lay abandoned, reclaimed by the desert and jungle.
Okay, I guess that was the end of it. I was pretty sure I had that on loop too. Yes, I did. Well, I will get back to the show, I guess. Yeah, I'm sorry if you guys had to sit and wait in silence for as long as, or for very long. I don't know for sure. I just went in, smoked my cigarette. Was gonna get me a cup of coffee, but found out that we were out of it. But I had some old instant coffee, and I ended up making me a cold cup of instant coffee. I'm sick like that, I know. But anyhow, I'm back. Now, I did want to talk over some of the stuff that I've been going over, or I've been doing concerning video games. So, the one thing that I do want to, or the first thing I want to talk about is Pokemon and Skate 3. These are two games that I have been dealing with for quite some time, but I've been trying to finish off my series on Skate 3, and there were some things that I completely forgot about Skate 3, which I think I should probably bring up. And this is for all you gamers out there. If you plan to play a skating game, you need to understand that Skate 3 is probably the hardest skating game that was ever brought up, that was ever made. So I'm gonna make sure this is turned off. Yeah. Now Skate 3, I completely forgot how hard that game was until I did this game, okay? again. No, I've been using my emulator and it works out pretty good, but I have been having issues with the controller that I've been using here lately. It's gone kaput, so I've been having to use the keyboard. Now this is the only game, to give it all respect on, this is the only game on RPCS3 that I've had no problems with when it comes to my controller. Now the rest of the games that I've been playing, and this is off Steam as well, tells me that my R3 button or R2 button, the one up on top, right there on the top part, that one is out. But I use this emulator and it seems to work perfectly with no problem whatsoever. But I still am having some major issues when it comes to playing this game, and the reason for it is I forgot how hard this game was. This game, I've been playing it for well into a year now, at least, and I can tell you one thing, I haven't learned a damn thing from it. The tricks are freaking insanely hard, and what happens is I end up playing for a certain amount of time with this game, and then I have to go and I have to edit the videos and then move on to something else. And when I come back to it to play it again, I have seemed to somehow forget everything that I learned from the time before. It is that complicated of a game, and I've busted my butt on getting as far as I have gotten. Usually I try to make about 30 videos for every game, and then I move on to the next one. I like to call it variety gaming, and most of my games are Let's Plays, which means that I'm not going, there's a good chance I'm not going to beat the game, you know what I mean? And that's basically what it is. The objective to streaming that video game isn't to start the game and finish the game and videotape it. So that's what a Let's Play is. But I try my best to get 30 of them, then I move on to the next game. On this one, I am up to 26, and I also do fail videos with my video games too. So when I go through and I edit, I take out all of the spots where I've basically died in, or I've planted my face in the concrete on Skate 3, and I put it in its own separate fail video compilation, about 15 minutes worth each time. And doing that, I've came up to 26 videos now, but the amount of time and effort that I've had to put into this game at making these videos is insane. I have got to honestly say, and I do mean this, that this is definitely the hardest game I've ever played, and that goes with all my retro games too. So with that being said, I do want to put it out there that I do have to say that one is the hardest one. I have been working on it. I'm finally almost done. I think I may be at video 30. Like I said at the beginning of this stream, I had to go in and download the last stream that I did off of Twitch. I'm going to have to make some adjustments with Blender to make the screen full screen and everything. But I do have that, and I may be able to finish it off. So I'll be done with that one. Now, from this point on, whenever I do my streaming, I'm not going to do like a crap load of marathon of games like I've been doing in the last 2 or 3 years. I believe it's been 2 years that I've been doing that. I was posting, I think it was 9 videos a day the first year, and then 6 videos a day. Yeah, it's 2 years for last year or this year, but that's done. It's not happening anymore. It's going to be 1 video a day. Each video is going to, or each day is going to have a different game, and that's how I'm doing it from this point out. I'm taking a note from what Jeffy does. He likes to archive his videos after he live streams, and I've started doing that with my gaming videos. I've gone through, gotten the older ones that were live streams, and I'm archiving them for archiving uploads. Basically, I'm gonna upload them with them edited and looking nice. With that being said, that comes into the next part of what I was going to also mention, which is I have 2 videos that are actually no two videos that are being archived right now, and they have been from beginning to end. That means I beat the game. And that is Saints Row the Third, and that's already being posted, but I finally finished with the rendering, and they're scheduled to be posted all the way to the end. I've got that finished, as well as Resident Evil the Village. So all of that rendering is done, and they are going to go all the way up until December. So I've got that covered. Not only am I putting that on YouTube, which is going to be synced up with Odyssey, and you'll see them on Odyssey, but I've also got them uploading now to Rumble. So I've got that going and ready, as well as having Saints Row the Third and Saints Row the Third and Resident Evil the Village on Rumble. I'm also adding Call of Duty 4, which is a game that I'd beaten previously. I'm editing that out, or I've already got it edited out. Now I'm adding it to Rumble and scheduling it to where it'll be going. I don't know how far ahead I can schedule my videos, so I'm not taking my chances on that one. I just did 20 videos, which is all of the Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare videos, and I've got all those scheduled out and ready to go, but I have more of them for Saints Row and for Resident Evil. So I've got to schedule those out later, but I'm only going to do 20 of them right now, and that's already on my Gaming with Infamous, which is the main channel there on Rumble for my thing. It's not live with Roger Hanson or anything like that. It's actually Infamous OG 1973, which is my my default channel. So that is going to have games actually uploaded to it. I have been doing live streams on there, but I haven't been uploading anything. I'm getting pretty close to having everything that is on the live streams with the interviews and the roundtables almost scheduled onto Rumble. I've made it up to episode 14 on everything, and I am going to episode 24, I believe, with those, but there are some that aren't there. My organization skills aren't really as great as what I thought they were, so either that or they're still in my 8-hour block folder, because what I usually do is I take these videos in their raw form and I make an 8-hour block of them, and I post those up on YouTube on this channel. So I will have those coming out too. They're starting in I believe after I'm done with this episode, they'll start coming out next week. So I have that, and then what I do is I take them from that folder and I put them into another one that was supposed to be my podcast folder, but I gave up on Spotify. I deleted my account, and that was that. So I don't do Spotify anymore. Instead, I take those videos and I put them on Rumble, and that is how all of that's working out right now. The reason why I gave up on Spotify was because Anchor ended up selling out to Spotify, and I don't like the way that Spotify is working out anymore. It reminds me really, really bad of Twitch, and I don't really like the way Twitch is actually set up, even though I am streaming on Twitch. But I just don't like their whole format and the way that they do things. So I'm not contributing to that kind of dumb shit, you know what I mean? It's not worth my time, not worth my effort. I'm almost to the point of being the same way when it comes to YouTube too, by the way. So just be aware of that. I'm not just saying that about Twitch. I do have my issues with a lot of the other platforms as well. All of them actually. And I stream on them too. Like X, I really have a hard time seeing the purpose for X because it's just, it is insane with the amount of content that you have to put on there just to get views. They want you to at least make 10 posts a day. Them and Instagram, and there's a few other ones where if you want to get any kind of decent views whatsoever, you have to post at least 10 times a day on there. I was going over that with somebody else and talking about that before, and it blew their mind when I brought it up. Now, I don't agree with a lot of the suggestions people have put out. Like they say that you're supposed to do at least 3 videos a day for YouTube, and for I believe it was Facebook. I could be wrong, but I don't agree with that, because I think that you need to put more on there for people to actually get your views, or for you to actually get your views on there, because I personally had to post more than just 3 a week, you know, and that's my experience with it. But I've never really had very much luck when it comes to X, and I gave Instagram a try whenever I was on Facebook. But since then, I've backed out of being on Facebook altogether, and I don't use Instagram at all whatsoever. I tried it for a little while, but it didn't work out all that great. So that is the reason why I had that podcast folder, is what that was all for. And I went way off into left field there. That's the reason why I said I need my talking points, because I end up losing my place, and next thing you know, I'm talking about a bunch of crazy silly stuff that nobody really wants to hear. So now after I was talking about those things happening, I realized something too when it comes to these blocks. These blocks that I have are 8-hour videos that are all of the interviews and everything that we've done together on minds.com. The live with Roger Hanson, Tech Talk, done the Minds Roundtable. I've done some with Karma Love that has to do with strangeness, conspiracy theories, history, which I've actually started using that on my wonderful world of weirdness as well. It's called Mysterious Histories, Mysteries, or something like that. So I've been doing, or that's what I've been adding to these 8-hour blocks. So they're all coming out. I've got tons of them set up. I think they're good until the end of December. One of them ended up getting me a warning on YouTube because I left in something that had been previously put on there. We were talking about, that medical stuff again, and you know how YouTube is these days. So I believe I got a warning off of that. That makes 3 of them that I've gotten on 3 different channels. I really believe that eventually YouTube's going to go down. It's getting ready to get taken out. I don't think it's going to be around very much more. If it isn't taken down, it'll end up being like MySpace is now. Just a place where people can go in and make cool little videos and share them. Which, believe it or not, MySpace is still around. It's just not very much used. It's pretty horrible actually, but I believe that if they keep going the route they're going, it's going to crash and burn. I can see that happening pretty soon too. A lot of the stuff that they're doing on there is pretty bad, and they keep sending out these invitations to do a survey, and whenever frickin' you go into those surveys, I've been noticing that like they say that they're not gathering information on you, but for some reason every time I did that, bad shit happens. So I stopped doing that. I don't wish to participate in any of their information gathering whatsoever, because it just seems as though it causes more problems and more damage to me than it does to anybody else. I'm not satisfied with it because, like, here in the gaming community, for me recently, I've experienced something that I didn't like. It was a friend of mine that's on there, and he does gaming. It's Maxie's RPGs, and everything I've seen that he's put on YouTube has been pretty good. You know what I mean? And it's had no controversy. It's just video games. He was on there. He had his subscribers up to like 375, I believe, right around there. And they just literally got blocked off his channel. You know what I mean? They did it, and they said that it was because of spamming. Well, he went and tried to do inquiries and asking them what exactly it was, and he got nothing back. So he eventually he did go on Rumble and start an account, so he is on there. But he eventually went back to YouTube and started up a channel again, which I think if that happened to me, I would make my cut from YouTube, and that would be the end of it. I don't think I would be willing to invest my time into any of that stuff ever again. But that's something that really annoyed me about all of that when it comes to like the gaming thing and stuff of that nature. It's not just people who are on here, talking about controversial things. Everybody's being attacked when it comes to this kind of stuff, and it's just something that that needs to be understood, you know, because that's what's happening. It's not just, you know, Jaffe and his pirate radio network. You know, it's everybody. They're even doing it with gamers and stuff. So now, what else was I going to talk about? Okay, I am done with that, and what I wanted to do was talk about Pokemon. Now, I have been working on my retro, getting a lot of retro games going out on my channel, and if nobody's noticed that, I'm sure they have, but let me kind of point out why that's happening. I've had a ton of retro videos sitting around on my computer that Rapid keeps making me play. Like, this dude just won't stop, you know what I mean? He keeps making you do challenges and shit, and then frickin' you do these challenges and he makes you do more challenges. So I had a ton of retro game challenges that that I had stored on my computer. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and store those on my computer, and later on I'm gonna post them up. I'm gonna make a video series just on frickin' these challenges that I did for Rapid G. So I did that. If you want to see those challenges, you can find it on Nostalgia Gaming Retro on YouTube, and you can see a lot of the footage that he has there. It's a pretty good channel too. So what I did is I took all of these challenges that I had with him. I also did the videos that me, him, and Matt did together when it came to the Adventures of Zelda. I put those on my channel as well. That actually came out looking better on my videos than what it did on Rapid's. Like, Rapid did that randomizer, and the game just utterly sucked. I mean, I'm not a fan of Zelda in the first place, but I'm just going to tell you right now, the randomizer and doing it with more than one person, just it was horrible. I don't even think we finished that game, to be honest with you. We might have, but I'm not quite sure. It was just that bad. So with that being said, though, I went over the video that I had recorded for, and it wasn't all that bad. I just had to cut out all the extra stuff of me roaming around doing useless stuff, because that's what I did the majority of the time. That was my first time playing that game. When it comes to Zelda, I'm old school 2-bit world kind of Zelda games. I don't think I ever tried to do anything more than Zelda 2. I could have tried some other stuff, but I doubt if I did. But I had those going on there as well, and that was interesting. Needless to say, that was pretty interesting. I still don't like Zelda. I hate that game with a passion. And the reason for that was because of my brother-in-law and my sister, my older sister. They were obsessed with Zelda. All they ever did was play Zelda and Mario Kart, you know. And that was it. That was it. Just, and it was bad. It was like Mario World and all that crazy stupid shit, you know what I mean? And then when I think I was about, let me think about it. I think I was about 19 when I moved from Arizona to Illinois, and we moved up here, and I met this friend of mine, Stephen Lee, and that's when the whole Sonic the Hedgehog thing started. I hate Sonic like you wouldn't believe, dude. And the reason wasn't because of the game necessarily, but it was because of these people who freaking wanted to play the same game over and over and over and over and over and over again. You know what I mean? That that turned me off on Sonic, but I would still play Sonic before I ever played Zelda. Just put that out there. But I played Zelda, got that up there. Now, after I did that, I also added on my Pokemon stuff. Now, that is something I gotta give Rapid credit for. He converted me from being an anti-Pokemon supporter to actually liking the video games. I'm not gonna say I'm ever gonna sit down and play the card games for Pokemon. I find those still ridiculous. But I've got to admit, man, that Gen 1, that was a good game. A lot of people who play those games don't like the cheat option. They said that it was broke. I don't see broke. I see opportunity to do cool shit, not broke. They have glitches on there like you wouldn't believe. You could do so many cool things on Pokemon Gen 1 that is just awesome. And I had a little bit of a conversation with the Drew Gamer about that in my comments section, you know, and I understand where he's coming from, you know what I mean, but I also enjoy the whole glitching part of it as well. I've been making video series of this one, and I really like how I actually set this one up, because like the Drew Gamer and Rapid, they have a way of doing their games, and it's traditional, I guess, from what I've seen all these people on YouTube do it, but they like to make it template style, you know what I mean, where you have the game playing in a little squared area, and then you have the points and for the Nuzlocke, and then you have like what the Pokemon are that you have sitting up on the side, which is cool, and I like it. But at the same time, I wanted to do something different with mine. So, you know, being in the tradition of infamous OG 1973, that's me. You know, I fuck shit up. You know what I mean? That's how I play. And it's all about the battle, you know what I mean? So for me, I changed it up. Instead of doing the template like they do, what I did is I freaking went through and I cut out all the fight scenes, and it's all the fight scenes, dude. It's every Pokemon battle that I did from beginning to end, okay? And like all the boring shit, you know, walking through the grass and getting lost in the forest and all that just nonsense, you know what I mean? Just get that shit out of there. We don't need that crap. So that was all gone. So what happened was it went from bam, one battle to the next, bam, one battle to the next, and that's what I did on them, and it's actually doing good. People are actually liking it. I'm getting pretty good views off of just the battles, and I really am glad that happened, because believe it or not, I did get to the point where, I mean, I like that game. It's pretty good. We just did Gen 2. I'm not as satisfied with that one as what I am with Gen 1, but it's probably because I've had more experience of it with Gen 1 than with the second one. And Rapid keeps wanting to do these randomizers, and every time he touches a randomizer and we get to going on it, shit just fucks up, you know what I mean? So I think if we can get to the point where we can get Rapid to just leave those damn randomizers alone, then we will be able to do something really cool with these games. You know what I mean? But he drives me nuts. He freaking drives me nuts, and he keeps doing it. He won't let up on the idea of certain things. You know what I mean? This randomizer shit. He's been trying to pull something off with the randomizers for like 2 or 3 years now. You know, and we ended up having issues with transferring files. We've had issues with audio synchronization. It seems as though I'm the only one out of everybody who can actually sync up audio. So that becomes a problem. And then it becomes a problem because they don't want to send it to me so that I can sync the audio up, because I get annoying and I freaking tell them, I'm like, look guys, you're gonna have to start learning how to do this shit, you know. And that's one thing you don't tell gamers. You don't tell them that they have to learn shit. They're not there for that. They're there to freaking play video games, and they're there to freaking live stream, and they're there to do this and that, but they are not there to freaking learn stuff. Okay, so I have to watch out how I talk to them. Yeah, one of these days I might be able to figure out how to do it properly. I just don't know, because these gamers, they're in their own universe. They really are. And that's really the best way of saying it, to be honest with you, because I love them to death. I love all of them to death, but they are always freaking they're always stuck into this whole way of thinking where it's just it's hard to explain. That's all I gotta say. So I've gotten that. I've actually beaten freaking Pokemon, believe it or not, all the way from beginning to end, plus a lot of the well, I beat them with a Nutslock even. If you guys don't know what a Nutslock is, there's rules that you have to do with them, you know, and that's pretty cool. But I've actually beat them that way, and then I did some challenges in the beginning for Rapid in my first year of working with them, and I've got that I added to it all too. So, and then, like I said, it's just one battle right after the other. It's a pretty good one, and it's all finished. I don't know for sure how long that goes. It's been a while since I got it all done, but I know that it's going to go for a while. Now, I've got the challenges done in October, and that is going to be switched out with Skate 3. I'm going to finish Skate 3 off, and then after I am done with Skate 3, I'm going to put another game in its place, because like I told you, it's just going to be one video a day, and they're going to be different videos. I'm not going to go over on a lot of this stuff because I just don't want it to I don't want it to get crazy, because I'll end up freaking sitting in the middle of August freaking out because I've got my schedule that I do things according to, and then somebody's going to send me a message on Discord asking for help, and I'm just going to freaking flip out on them and start getting into an argument. And I don't want to do that, because that's usually what happens whenever you start getting crazy about this stuff. It's really about time management. I've mentioned that before too, you know. Always manage your time. Don't overdo it, but don't underdo it either. You know what I mean? Make sure that everything is managed if you do this stuff, to where frickin' you know that you need to step away from the computer and go do this or do that, or stuff like that, which that's something that we all should be doing. I've said that before, so I'm not going to rant on that any right now. So I believe I've covered that with Pokemon. So after that, my live stream, I've been getting back into that here lately, and I finally was able to do something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I've wanted to play For Honor. This game was out. It came out roughly about the same time as Apex, and everybody was jumping onto the Apex wagon, and they loved that game. But I wanted to play For Honor, and it was because of the mechanics, the fighting mechanics. Like whenever you go to freaking swing, you swing to the right, you swing to the right, you swing to the left. Each swing you controlled, and in retaliation to that, the blocks were the same way. If somebody swung at you from the right, you would lift your sword up to the left, upright, and it would block a downward swing from the right. You know what I mean? And I thought that was cool. So that's what I wanted to play, and I finally got that done. I thought that was pretty cool. That is one game that I'd finished up here recently. I'm actually going in and sharing it with my WLC group on Discord, which is home away from YouTube, and getting some pretty good reviews from it. The thing that amazes me about it, though, is that they're marking it as adult content on YouTube, and that's for the storyline. You know what I mean? The storyline itself is marked adult content, but like whenever I go in after that and I do the regular server where you fight against other people, not one single thing is, I mean, at all. And that's really weird to me. I've noticed that they've done that, and then like on the weird part is like I'm doing Doom as well, the new Doom that they came out with in place of the old one. Now on Twitch, I go on there and they automatically restrict that to adult, like on YouTube, but they don't do the same thing for Honor, you know. I find that really weird. So I have Twitch that's making it adult only, or 18 plus on Twitch for Doom, and then on YouTube For Honor is the same way. So I do find that kind of odd. I believe Assassin's Creed Unity, which is another one that I just finished up on, is the same on Twitch as well. I believe they made that one 18 only. Not positive, but that's the thing that I have an issue with about streaming across platforms, which I do it. Don't get me wrong, but I find it pretty hard to maintain what it is that you have to be careful about, because you're dealing with multiple platforms. And well, it's like with the music. I've mentioned the copyright issue that they have there. Like when you go on Facebook, they'll give you this free music and say that you can use it. Well, that applies to Facebook, and that really doesn't apply to Facebook, because after a while these people change their settings or they change the status for it in some way. I don't know how they do it, but for the music that Facebook suggests to you, later on they hit you with a freaking copyright infringement notice for the same music that was suggested by Facebook. But it goes even farther than that, because like if you use that free music on Facebook and then you take that video that you've just edited and you've created with their music and you put it on YouTube, YouTube will hit you with a copyright infringement. And the same thing goes with YouTube. If you use their free music and then you put that on Facebook, then it's vice versa. So for each platform, if you're using free music, you have to use the free music for that platform rather than sharing the same music across different platforms. And that just, it got complicated just trying to explain that. So it's something that I really don't want to have to do again. It just, and these are the reasons why I said this was supposed to be my last year when it comes to doing all of this shit, because I was at my wit's end. I do not enjoy doing a lot of the stuff that I've had to do. I have learned a lot, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you would have asked me if this was worth it, I honestly don't know how I would answer that, to be truthful. I just do not know how I would answer it. I'm having loading issues on Odyssey again, so you gotta give me a moment. Now, when it comes to these games, okay, I do enjoy the games quite a bit. Actually, I enjoy playing them. All right, I enjoy the editing to a big extent, but through the whole journey and doing all this stuff, I've had to put up with this craziness that everybody seems to be going through right now when it comes to these platforms. But I've been doing it for quite a long time, so I've become used to it. And a lot of people who freaking I've been networking with can relate to that, because they've had to put up with it too. But I don't think that the people who are just getting on and listening to these streams and listening to these podcasts, whatever, are comprehending what we're talking about. You know what I mean? And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this stuff up, is because the majority of people don't understand that this is the kind of stuff that's going on. It's getting pretty bad out there. The censoring is just getting out of hand. It's copyright infringement on everything. Like, for me, I've gotten to the point now to where I'm actually using my own shit. It's like this background that you see back behind on my stream. I created that. That wasn't created by anybody else. Now, I did use a buddy of mine, Austin Todd's music, but I know that he gives me permission to use it. And even if I do get hit with copyright and they make it to where it's okay to use it on YouTube, I'm cool with him being the one that has the video, because if anybody will make money, it'll be him, so. Oh, hold on a minute. I have an invader coming in. Gotta mute. And then I'll put music on too for you. So yeah, I basically wanted to get through that and let everybody know about what's going on there. I actually did get a lot of stuff done this last week when it comes to my gaming. I did transfer a lot of games and everything over from YouTube to Rumble. Um, I'm having issues with Odyssey right now, just so you guys know, and it's to the point where I'm probably going to just go ahead and record and not even worry about streaming on Odyssey anymore when it comes to live stream. Um, they are synced up, so it's not like they're going to not see, that you guys aren't going to see my gaming stuff on Odyssey. It'll be there if you're on my gaming channel, which is Gaming with Infamous, just so everybody knows. This one is live with Roger Hanson, but I do have another channel on here called Gaming with Infamous. It's got a wizard with a yellow background on there. And another thing too is like I don't invest too much on that other than the actual option of downloading my videos, you know what I mean, and being able to fix the stream whenever they mess up, which that's probably what I'll end up having to do with this one once I'm done with this, because I had the same issue last night when I was doing my game streams on my other channel. So for me, I'm probably just gonna record these and then edit them out and put them directly on the uploads and not worry about the live streams. It's just like I said, it's about being able to manage time management and being able to do stuff and get it organized in the way it needs to go. So I'm really surprised that I've been able to do this much when it comes to live stream with the topics and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another break. I am going to come back after the live break, and we will we'll do the politics and get that going on. So I just need to figure out what would be a good song to put on that's really long, and come back. Now I could do Within the Vacuum stuff, but his is the only thing I think he has that's long is I Remember and Numbers and Letters, but I could be wrong. He's not really big on the ballads kind of stuff, so I could put his ambient music on there if you guys want to hear that. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to do I Can Remember, because this is actually, Now I Remember is actually the one that I like the best from him. He does a really good really does a really good job on his music. Now this is on loop, so you might have to listen to it again. So there you go, guys, and I'll be back here in a little bit. Hope you enjoy.
This one's called I Remember.
Hold on. Let me.
Yeah, we can comment about it later. It's the second song, the third song of the album. Here you go.
So yeah, I'll put that one on. This is.
The visual spectacle was more than incredible. The visual spectacle was more than incredible. Immersed into the waters by your command, it elevates our souls to remember who we are. You, my love, now I remember all the things we've done in your creative field of love. The visual spectacle was more than incredible. The visual spectacle was more than incredible. Beyond the limits, there are no laws. We set it higher in the sky where no one ever flies. You, my love, now I remember all the moments in our past lives. Yeah, I remember now. Now I remember. 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 Do, 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 do. That one is called I Remember. visual spectacle was more than incredible. The visual spectacle was more than incredible. Immersed into the waters by your command, it elevates our souls to remember who we are. You, my love, now I remember all the things we've done in your creative field of love. The visual spectacle was more than incredible. The visual spectacle was more than incredible. Beyond the limits, there are no law. We set it higher in the sky where no one ever flies. You, my love, now I remember all the moments in our past lives. Yeah, I remember now. Now I remember. 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 That one's called I Remember.
Okay, so I am back, and now, well, before I move on to the next topic, I do want to also mention that upcoming I will be getting back into my gaming stuff with the shows, podcast format, where I talk about gaming. I am also going to be doing some interviews I have a couple of people that will be going over some stuff that concerns their gaming careers. Maxie was the one I mentioned earlier. He's going to come back on, and we're going to have an interview sometime here in the near future. Rockstar 69 said that he would be willing to do an interview as well. Rockstar Pool 69 is what he goes by. So he said his schedule should be pretty good on that one. I'm lining up interviews for that. Later on, Rapid off of Nostalgia Gaming Retro is wanting me to do a podcast with him, or a show with him on YouTube as well when it comes to gaming and stuff like that. So there are things that are coming up that I will be doing involving that as well, which I almost forgot to mention. Later on, in about 2, 3, 4 weeks, I don't know, I'll be returning to Wonderful World of Weirdness, where I will be the cameraman for Summer Todd with Summer Todd's mystery show. So that's going to be coming up here soon. We're still kind of going through the ifs and whens and what we need to do. Like, she's got her topics and everything that she's wanting to go over, so we're getting that set up, but that should be coming up soon. As well as that, in the gaming part, I do want to mention as well that I want to do interviews and shows pertaining to role-playing games as well. So expect some of that stuff to be brought up. Maybe get some people on Skype together to do that. I have ran into some people on Skype who would be interested in doing it. Even Jeff, he said he'd be curious about getting involved in that. So that'd be something cool to do over on Skype. So if anybody is interested, let me know, and we can get the ball rolling. You know, get some good stuff going there. So with that, I'm going to finish up my gaming part, and I am going to start talking about politics. Now, here in the last few days, we've had another attempted assassination, or an assassination attempt on Trump. Now, before I get started on it, I want to just bust into this. A lot of people have been doing some fucked up things on the internet, and I'm saying that it's fucked up for a reason, because it is fucked up. Okay, they've been talking about this being a hoax, or if it's real. You know, the thing I want to say first and foremost is, in that first assassination attempt, which I was corrected on in the chat, it wasn't a lot of people dying from it, but there were people that were injured, okay, and one person did die. Alright, so this is no playing around. This is no matter of frickin' just talking shit on the internet, okay? These are serious situations that are taking place right now, and people should frickin' be a lot more conscientious when it comes to the shit that they're talking on the internet. For me, there's no debate on if this is freaking a hoax or if it's real, okay? And I think that this has to this has to be something that's discussed, which I was bringing up earlier, because I think that frickin' it has to do with the mentality and the environment that frickin' is taking place when it comes to the political world. And I've mentioned this, okay? I stepped away from getting involved with the whole politics thing was because it utterly disgusted me. From when I first started getting to where I wanted to even discuss this stuff, it happened like in between. It was in the midterms when Biden was in office, or not Biden, but Obama. And it was during the time where we were having the government shut down. I think it was the first or second one. And that got me to where I actually started talking about the stuff. And then when I went in to go do the research and stuff, the animosity that was there and the freaking bullshit that was being said and the stuff that was talking about was just so outrageous. I eventually quit doing it altogether. And I believe that was right during the freaking presidential elections with Trump, because I was done. I didn't want anything else to do with it. And it had absolutely nothing to really do with the politicians. It had to do with the people that were involved on the internet and the things that they were saying. That was so ridiculous, But I wanted to say that. I wanted to point it out. People were injured, and one person died because of that. So for me, I'm not even playing those games, okay? Now, when I think about that incident, what I freaking think about is the incompetence on the part of the law enforcement agencies that were involved. The thing that really gets me about the situation was whenever freaking it came out with the information afterwards, and the police department that was there said that they didn't have proper communications between them and the Secret Service. The Secret Service, they couldn't even contact them. You know what I mean? They had complete. I mean, it was a I wouldn't even call it a screw up. I would say that it was botched. Yeah, I guess you could call it a screw up. But it was horrible. You know what I mean? They couldn't even properly communicate with the Secret Service so that they could work together, which tells me that the Secret Service didn't want to work with the local law enforcement in the first place. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that really gets to me. And then it gets to something else that I brought up before in the first part that I was talking about when it comes to the first assassination attempt. It was they refused to give protection to RFK, back when he was running for president, which now I guess he dropped out of the race and he's supporting Donald Trump. But at the time he was running for president, and they refused to give it to him. And just because he was an independent, I guess they felt that he didn't deserve the same rights and privileges that the political parties like the Republicans and the Democrats deserved, which apparently goes into the fact that they didn't give Trump adequate security either when you look at the whole situation, because all of a sudden now, he's had 2 assassination attempts. I guess that they caught this guy behind a bush or something. I haven't been able to watch the stream on it, but I did catch that part. He was apparently on a golf course hiding behind bushes, and somebody picked him out, and he got busted. So that was the good thing, but when it comes to the first one, that's what really stuck out to me, was the lack of communication, or the lack of the ability to communicate with the Secret Service and the police department. They were unable to do that. And then they refused to give protection to people who were running for president. That's another thing. Another thing that really stuck out to me about that first time was the fact that the shooter wasn't only in the proximity of the former president, but he was also freaking sitting on the rooftop of the building where the local police department was located and monitoring. It wasn't even on a different rooftop or whatsoever. It was on the actual building that the police were down below surveying from. So that was kind of disturbing to me. I thought that was really, really messed up. And going back to what I was talking about when it comes to the general environment of today's world and politics, I find a lot of things offensive when it comes to this stuff. Things that I don't think our grandparents or even our parents, well, I don't even know about our parents because my parents are still alive, but I think they would find it offensive, you know what I mean? When you go through and you look at the things that people are doing and the things that just are uncalled for and in bad taste, it really makes you, it should make you stop and think. I don't see people stopping and thinking though anymore, like when you take a look at Trump's $2 bill, I think that is the most appalling thing that freaking anybody could ever do. And this is through the freaking U.S. Mint or the Mint. They actually have a dollar bill with freaking Donald Trump's freaking with his freaking inmate number on it. You know what I mean? And I find that is very, very offensive. I find that it's in bad taste. And it's purposely put out there, people had more respect back in the day than what they do now, and that is something that I had gotten into earlier, and I'm seeing that when it comes to this, that would have never have been thought of. It would have been, whoever came up with that idea would have been out of a job, alright, for even thinking of doing something that bad. And that is the kind of stuff that really sticks out to me. I find that these people have total disregard for any kind of freaking dignity for themselves or for the institute or whatever institution or whatever they're talking about. They just do not care about it. That is something. This is a former president of the United States. It doesn't matter how you feel about them or anything like that. People don't just become president of the United States because they were cool. There was something that made him president, no matter what you think, no matter what I think. Okay, that's just the facts. If you're so great, run for president, see how far it gets you. Okay, and you can say, yeah, it's the money. There was a lot of good men with a lot of good money that frickin' ran for president. Ross Perot tried and he failed. Think about it. Okay, now Ross Perot wasn't a frickin' poor man. He wasn't even close to poor. Okay, he wasn't even close to moderately rich. He was a very, very wealthy man, and he couldn't be president of the United States. So, that is the thing that really sticks out to me. I find a lot of this stuff very, very appalling, and it just shows the environment of today's politics and what kind of mentality is out there, Not to mention the 2 attempts on a former president that nobody seems to have a problem with, JFK was assassinated, but that was only one attempt that was successful, There's been one attempt here, one attempt there for different presidents, but we've had 2 within a presidential election on a former president, and nobody finds that alarming whatsoever. I think that's stuff that people really, really do need to open their eyes to and take notice of. I think that people actually, when people actually think that it was a hoax, I think that is probably the worst part about it. You know what I mean? You've got mental problems if you think that this is a freaking hoax. That's all I gotta say. You're just mentally ill, and that's all there is to it. People are dying and getting hurt because of this stuff, and this stuff is real. It's something that you need to take look at and understand, because it's just not. It's not a fairy tale world. It's not. I mean, I know that a lot of people get on the internet and they get caught up in this make-believe world where they can say and do whatever they want and get away with it. But this is reality. Okay, this is the real world, and I think that that is something that a lot of people need to take into consideration, because I think it's become more of a habit of a lot of these people getting on the internet and just running their mouth and saying bad things and thinking that it's okay to do that, and they don't understand the consequences that are involved with that. It's getting to the point where people are dying, and I'm not the kind of guy that gets on here and says, you need to censor that, you need to do this. I don't agree with that, but I do believe in personal responsibility. If you're one of those people who are getting on here and doing stuff like that, then you're in the wrong for it. I'm saying it. It's not frickin' YouTube saying it. It's not frickin' Rumble or frickin' X or any other platform saying it. It's one individual saying to you, you're doing wrong. You need to stop it. Okay? We don't need that kind of garbage. It's getting out of hand. If you want to talk about politics, get on the internet and talk about real politics. Stop doing the hate and frickin' spreading the frickin' anger and the anger and all that stuff. And I do believe that's what this is all about. This is about spreading hate. Now, I personally believe that the Conservative Party has been taken over by the Nationalist Socialists. And you can see that in a lot of the things that are going on in the world today. You can, or in a lot of the stuff that's being said today. I have been getting on shows and being around people who are freaking making blatant freaking white supremacist freaking propaganda. They're saying it out in the open, and I don't know if the people who are there are even aware that that's what that is. It's been used for 100 and 125 years. If you sit and you listen to it, you can recognize it if you've learned what that stuff is. But I doubt that very many people do know what it is, and they sit there and they listen to it and they jump on the bandwagon and they start listening to it, and they don't even know that that's what this stuff is. It is straight up white supremacist propaganda. Most of the people who are spreading this stuff don't even realize that it is propaganda, and the ones who do know what it is are doing it on purpose, and the bad part about it is they're disguising themselves and pretending that that's not who they are, when they know damn well that's exactly what they are. They get on there, they start the propaganda, and they start spreading it around, and all of a sudden all these other people who have no idea what the hell they're talking about, and the information that they're spreading is freaking saying this shit. You know what I mean? And they don't even know. They don't even have a clue. They don't educate themselves to the history behind the shit they're saying. You know what I mean? I was just on a show where a dude was honestly trying to say that there's photos of Jewish people playing fucking tennis in concentration camps. And that pissed me off, and I ended up freaking going off. So I ended up going off on there, and all of a sudden I have another person that I network with saying, oh man, I heard you freaking I heard you get into 2 arguments with 2 people that were supposed to be your friends. And, I never got the chance to freaking point it out that the reason why I went off in that stream was because this dude was on there spreading freaking racist, white supremacist, Nazi propaganda. And I was sitting there being quiet and that was the end of it. Then recently I ended up going on to another show with the same guy, okay, and he was still spreading a bunch of the same propaganda and the same lies and stuff of that nature. So I ended up freaking getting into it with him again, okay. So with me, I'm not into doing all that stuff. I have tried my best to stay away from that kind of stuff, and it's getting to the point now where I'm starting to say that maybe it's a good idea for me not to really want to do a lot of the streaming and stuff, because I'm at that point now where I'm on the border of saying, do I really want to do this shit or don't I want to do it? Because it seems that a lot of the stuff that I'm getting put into has to do with hate. It has to do with people pushing hate for different groups, you know what I mean? I'm not a freaking white supremacist. I don't agree with it. My great uncle fought in World War II against the bastards that freaking these people are on here freaking spreading their lies for. There's a lot of good American men and women who died in that war fighting for this country against those people. And when you are in the United States and you're spreading that kind of hate and you're doing it on purpose, you're nothing but garbage. And I don't care who freaking hears that and who says that that's wrong for me to say it. I don't care. Okay? You're disrespecting me. You're disrespecting my freaking uncle. You're disrespecting every man and woman who died in that freaking war, and the ones who came back and had to live with it after they came back. Okay? So for me, that's how I feel about it. And if you don't like that, sorry for your luck, man. I'll say it again. When you start spreading that stuff and you think that it's okay to spread that stuff, you're shitting on people. You're making it freaking to where it's not cool. And it really doesn't even apply. What I just said there doesn't even apply to just the United States. You know, there were a lot of people who fought against those people. There was nothing good about them. The Nazis were horrible freaking people who deserved to die. The only thing that was bad about freaking Adolf Hitler was the fact that freaking nobody got a chance to freaking put a bullet in his fucking head. Okay? That's the only thing that freaking I think was the worst thing about it, was nobody had a chance to freaking put a bullet in the fucker's head. The worst thing that ever happened was the day that he was born. And that is just how I feel about it. So when it comes to that kind of stuff and that kind of behavior, and I hear that kind of stuff, I will be the first one to stand up against it. I think that it's the wrong freaking way of thinking, and I do think that kind of shit needs to go, because that's all it is. It's garbage. And these people have taken old folklore, old lore from Babylonian myths, and that were incorporated into Jewish beliefs, and they've created horrible, horrible things like blood libels back in the Middle Ages, which was used in order to frickin' justify murdering Jews. Now, this was before World War I ever happened. Okay, they would take little kids out into the woods and murder them, and then blame it on the Jews, so that these freaking white supremacists and racist groups could literally go into ghettos and murder freaking thousands of Jews. And they did this for freaking a long time before World War II even started. This is a real thing that took place, and these ideas have freaking continued to go on, okay? And they continue to go on to this day. And they're being taught to people who have no clue that that's where this came from, alright? So when you hear people on here talking about Moloch, That's what they're talking about. Okay, that's the kind of shit that they're spreading. They're trying to tell you the same shit that was preached back in the 1700s and the 1800s in order to freaking kill Jews. All right, and that is the reason why I ended up having an issue. Okay, just so that I can make the thing straight. And I wanted to put that out there on my last stream for this year because, to be honest with you, I'm, like I said, teetering on the edge on if I want to even do this stuff or not anymore, because I'm sick of hearing that garbage. I'm sick of hearing about freaking the hate message that's being spread around. You know, for me, I have a really cool group of people that I hang out in the gaming community that I deal with all the time. I've never had any issues with them when it comes to stuff like this, and I just don't want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with freaking my beliefs on if that stuff is true or not. It just has to do with, like, people are freaking dying from this stuff, and nobody seems to care about that. You know what I mean? Nobody seems to care about you're spreading hate that's freaking killing people. And they attack through the Conservative Party on issues that freaking have to do with National Socialism. Okay, like I mentioned the Border Patrol thing. Okay, now they're making this big argument that we were being invaded by these people through Border Patrol and through aliens coming across the freaking illegal aliens coming across the borders and stuff. Well, if you open your eyes and you pay attention, you'll notice that every country that freaking is pushing this freaking propaganda is saying the same shit. Like, England has all these Arabs coming across the border and taking over England, and then we've got all these Mexicans coming across the border and taking over freaking the United States. You know, all these Chinese are rushing in and taking over Korea, the bastards. You know, and that's the common theme, and it's happening not just here in the United States, but it's happening in England. It's also happening in freaking New Zealand. I mean, you got racist groups that are pissed off because the indigenous society's freaking upset about their rights. You know what I mean? So you got it going on everywhere. It's just a bunch of racist propaganda that's being spread from one group of white supremacists to another worldwide, and they are out there. Don't believe they aren't. Okay, they've been around. They have a network of people who are National Socialists who travel from place to place, freaking giving speeches on hate speech, on white supremacy. Okay, and these groups are around. They've been around for a long time, you know. So just understand that they're out there. They're just as strong as what they used to be, if not stronger. But now they've learned their lesson from World War II. Okay, they've learned that they can't freaking take over the world and freaking through force. So what they want to do is they want to fool you into believing stupid shit. They're wanting to believe you. They want you to believe that they have no problem with these other races. No, they don't. They just want to have their rights respected as being white individuals. You know what I mean? So they want to tempt you into their society so that freaking they can convince you that freaking it's okay later on when they're in complete control to freaking go and murder other people because of the color of their skin or the language they speak. Okay, these are the kind of people that are out there now. They're not as brutal and upfront as what, you know, the Third Reich was. Now they're referred to as the Fourth, and some people even call them the Fifth Reich. So understand that they are still out there and they've been around. Okay, and just understand that that's what's going on with the Conservative Party. A lot of these people who are claiming to be conservative aren't really conservative. They're actually white supremacist National Socialists who are pushing a racist freaking agenda and all of that. And trust me, I'm not a liberal. I'm not even close to a liberal. I don't agree with them any more than I do with what I've been hearing from the Conservative Party, but understand that that is true. You also need to realize here in the United States, if it wasn't for the Chinese, we wouldn't have had we wouldn't have a railroad that stretches from the East Coast to the West Coast. If it wasn't for the Chinese, we wouldn't have railroads in our country. All right, and that was because of them. The immigrants from another country who came over here and frickin' actually took those jobs because that was the only jobs they could have. I really, on the whole border situation, I always add that up to socialism, which I don't know, because the time frame, maybe it would be a socialist thing because of Ellis Island and stuff. I know that Ellis Island was created like back in 1892. It was back in the late part of the 1800s, and that could have been during the time when socialism started taking up, but I don't know how strong socialism was in the United States back then. At that point, I knew that it was just as popular here in the United States as what it was in Europe, but I don't know how strong it was. Before Ellis Island, there was no immigration whatsoever. And then all of a sudden they started talking about immigration. They set up Ellis Island, and they started using it for the Irish. The first person that actually was that went through the Ellis Island immigration program was Annie Moore. I believe that was her name, was Annie Moore. She was a little teenage girl, and she was the first person. So they ended up using immigration to go through and allow the Irish to come onto American soil, and I know that there was over 12 million immigrants who passed through Ellis Island. I know that much. Yeah, could have been more, maybe a little bit less. No, I know it was more than 11 or 12 million. 12 million immigrants passed through Ellis Island from the time that it started up until the time that it ended back in the 1950s. So, all of this was going on before I was even born. It ended up, Ellis Island was closed like 20 years before I was even born, and I'm 51 years old. So, like, this whole thing about borders and immigration and not having like immigration program and all this shit, this isn't something that's new, that's cropped up. All of a sudden it's become a major topic, a major issue of some kind, and they've been talking about this shit for years and years and years and years. Now all of a sudden, you're hearing immigration pop up in the middle of political debates and shit, and it's the truth, man. I mean, they closed Ellis Island down before I was even born. So now all of a sudden it's a big issue, and the thing about borders and immigration and stuff like that goes all the way back to the way socialists used to attack their enemies. Okay, what they used to do when in Eastern Germany was, or Eastern Europe, I should say, was they used to attack the pan-Slavic belief systems that used to go on in that region. Like their lore and their historical beliefs. You know, if they weren't factual, these socialists would attack their belief systems and say that they were unfounded and all that stuff, and that caused a lot of issues. Then they started moving in with the National Socialists and started talking about people who came across their borders and couldn't speak the same language that they had, that they needed to frickin' speak the language or not be there in their countries. Okay, this is all socialism. This is the way that the socialists talk. This is the things that they believe in, and this is the propaganda they push. Okay? And this is what you're hearing when it comes to this border patrol shit. Okay? And the people who are doing this are the people who don't give a rat's ass about frickin' this stuff. All they want to do is they want to frickin' be racist. They want to kill frickin' people. You know what I mean? That's what they want to do. They'll lie to you and pretend like that's not what they want, but in reality, that's exactly what they want. Now, just so you guys know, I don't know how many people are aware of it, but Ellis Island is closed. The only thing that is there now is the Ellis Island National Museum of Immigration. They started that back in the 90s. But they closed Ellis Island down. It was actually abandoned for a while from the 1950s up until the 90s. So that's something that I did want to bring up. Now, they did have immigration things, don't get me wrong, here in the United States before, but that before Ellis Island, but those were dictated by the individual states. And they're the ones who regulated immigration, alright, before Ellis Island. Now, the whole thing about that was like freaking each state was the ones who dictated what happened when it comes to immigrants and things of that nature. And then they turn around and they freaking allowed the federal government to frickin' take over. And this goes into what I've been talking about, and I'll get to that later on. But what happened is these states ended up allowing the federal government to take over, and that's where it all started up. And they came up with what was called the quota law, and that was in 1921. And then they also had the Immigration Act of 1891. Now, the Immigration Act of 1891 created the Office of Superintendent of Immigration, which gave the federal government direct control over immigration. Okay? Now, this group was kind of fucked up because, like, this is how it all started. Now, with this this setup, they refused the right to people to immigrate to the United States who came from countries that they believed had contagious diseases or polygamists. Now, polygamy, I don't understand why that would even be an issue unless it was some kind of religious kind of shit, which did happen back then. But, you know, I mean, they wouldn't let you immigrate to the United States if you were a polygamist. I mean, that's something you need to really stop and think about, you know. And they also did prevent you from immigrating back then if there was crimes that, you know, if you had criminal charges or moral turpitude. So that was a plus on that side. Except for the moral turpitude, you know, what are they considered moral turpitude as being? That's one thing you gotta ask yourself, you know, because you were a polygamist and you had moral turpitude, you know, that's pretty fucked up. and it just has those inutations where you're welcome here, but you're not, because you're from a fucking piece of shit third world country, and we don't want you. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the whole thing that I get from those vibes when it comes to that shit. Now, the quota law of 1921, there's a lot of people today which it could have to do with a lot of the liberal shit, but I don't know for sure. But it says that the laws favored Western European countries, which does make sense in one aspect, but it goes back to the Chinese as well. From what I was saying before, Chinese people came over on the west side of the country, and they ended up freaking helping build the railroads across the country from the east coast to the west coast. So there was a lot of Chinese and Oriental immigration going on there too. So that right there is kind of something that I could see happening with this whole changing the way things are freaking said and shit on writing, because like you can see that happening a lot. We were just talking the other day about Wikipedia, and then I brought up freaking Encyclopedia Britannica and how horrible that freaking encyclopedia has changed. Like, these woke people have just gone in and literally mutated the shit out of that book. Some of the information on there, most of the information that I've read on there, I don't really like anymore. And I used to think a big of the Encyclopedia Britannica because of its, not just because of the information, but because of the historical value that it had, So, with that, you have to take that with a grain of salt. But I do have to say, though, that it did restrict immigration from certain countries, from other countries outside of Europe. That is true. Like, they didn't just let anybody from anywhere all over the world in, you know what I mean? They segregated when it came to third world countries, African countries, I know Middle Eastern countries. There were countries that they were not allowed into because they had diseases and they were dirty, that kind of shit. Now, they actually set it up to where freaking you had to obtain visas and medical certificates before coming into the United States before that. So I do have to say that is something that they did put into place, but I also think that freaking that is something that, well, see, I'm not really big on the ID and stuff of that nature. I think that is probably one of the biggest mistakes that people are falling for, is we need to have state IDs to vote and shit like that. I think that goes against what the whole voting process was about. When you vote, you're not freaking voting according to a state organization or anything of that nature. This is something that us as voters are supposed to have control over. Not a political party or parties, not a government organization. This is something that we are supposed to have the power over. And when you start bringing freaking government organizations like the DMV into the whole process, you're handing your rights over to the government. And that's something else that I wanted to kind of get into, especially whenever I get into the conversation about separation of federal and state. And I've mentioned it before, we hand our rights over to the federal government all the time, and we just keep allowing it. And I personally think that it's because Americans are taking the easy way out and allowing other people to make decisions for them. And you see that a lot, okay? especially here lately, whenever we've had situations with COVID and everything where companies and businesses had to literally close their store because frickin' of the government having the power to come in and say, look, you need to shut your doors down, and you don't have any rights to frickin' make a decision on keeping them open or not. You know what I mean? Also, when you look at like companies and businesses, when it comes to hiring people, like they're not allowed to hire who they want to hire anymore, and it's all been set up because according to it's a freaking control method. First of all, you have to have certification for some jobs. Second of all, the state identification, like I said, and things of that nature. You have to freaking have a W-2 form and shit like that, and it wasn't always that way, but people just allowed that to happen, you know what I mean, because it's so much easier to let other people make decisions for you instead of making them yourself, you know what I mean, and that's what we've done over time. We've just allowed the government to move in and take away our rights, okay, and I think that that's one of the most scariest things that's taken place, and it's been taking place for a while now. At least 120 to 150 years we've been allowing our government to just take more and more power as they see fit, and that really needs to be looked at. I don't think that that's going to work out anymore. I think we've finally hit our boiling point, and eventually some bad shit's going to come down the pipeline if we don't stop allowing this stuff to take place. We're allowing ordinances that are forcing our communities to do things according to like what other people want, you know what I mean? Like I've mentioned it before, they've got freaking ordinances now to where they can freaking drive by your house, and if they see freaking your grass is too high, they can literally fine you because your grass is too high. That's fucked up. They can do that with everything on your property, which is private property. Okay? This is property that you bought and paid for. They've been able to manipulate their way in and figure out how to freaking take away your property because you didn't pay taxes. Property taxes. Property taxes for land that's supposed to be yours. Okay, they can come in and they can literally steal that away from you because you're obligated to pay freaking taxes on that land that you paid for. It's completely ridiculous. And I think property taxes, private property taxes, and private property laws, period, should be brought into question and reevaluated, because I don't think that that's right that they can take away your land because of frickin' these taxes that they actually put into place illegally. It's constitutionally illegal for them to take property taxes and frickin' tax you for the labor that you frickin' put out. And they continue to do it, and everybody's just accepted it. You know what I mean? It's okay now. It's just the way it is. And I believe that it has to do with frickin' the private property laws has to do with land grabs. And I made a post on the Minds chat earlier because of this thing that's been popping up when me and Mark Edworthy were doing Roger's Real-Time Talk Show. Something occurred to me during that show with these constitutions. Like England's supposed to have a constitution, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, all of these places are supposed to have all these constitutions. And the one thing that I noticed when I was doing my research is the United States is the only thing that mentions our right to own private property. So that was something that really sticks out to me here with these taxes and stuff and land grabs. It's like they're trying to reach out and steal our land from us. And I think that frickin' that's really got me interested there. And through the research, I actually started checking around, and I found out if there was any other countries that explicitly recognize the right to own land, not implies, but explicitly recognizes the right for the individual to own land. Alright, and the only 3 countries that I came up with that actually do explicitly recognize the right to own land is Czechia, and that's through the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedom. Then you have Brazil, and that has the 1988 Constitution, which explicitly protects land rights of the indigenous people. Okay? And then you have India and their 44th Amendment of the Constitution, which was in 1978 when it first came out. But those are the only 3 that I found that explicitly recognize the right to own land other than the United States. So that is basically all the information that I wanted to spread. I hope that that wasn't drawn out and long for everybody. And you know, with the stuff that I said about freaking the hate and things of that nature, I just wanted to bring it up because there was a comment that was made to me in private that said that I went off on 2 people who were friends of mine. And, you know, I sat back and I kept quiet about it. And I did that because I do have respect for this person. I have so much respect, I'm not even going to mention the name, okay? But at the same time, it just irked away at me because frickin' I don't know for sure if that person's aware that the conversation that was taking place at the time was very racist. It was very it was disgusting, okay? I find it disgusting that there is any person that could look at the Holocaust and tell me that frickin' Jews were sitting in these concentration camps playing frickin' tennis. Okay, that's disgusting. And that's what caused that. That's exactly what caused that. I actually get very fired up when I hear stuff like that because there's something inside of me that just can't let that go. And I've tried, but I still can't let that go. I'm not racist whatsoever. I don't agree with it. There's a lot of it that I do overlook, but when it comes to stuff like that, that just really sets me off, and I will not tolerate it. Okay. And that's just who I am, and I've come to actually say that that's okay, you know. The thing that really does bug me is that. So I just hope that actually explains a lot, and that, you know, that kind of brings out a little bit to light. Now the second argument that I went off on somebody was about, I couldn't tell you what that was, but I know what the first one was about, and I went into that. So I'm not going to kick a dead horse. I'm just going to leave it at that, and I hope you guys enjoyed. We actually made it to 3 hours and 6 minutes, and I think I'm done. I hope you guys enjoyed, like I said, and I will get off here. This is going to be my final episode for this year. Hopefully I come back. I don't know. I will hang out and see if things get better. But if they don't, I may not come back to do any more streams for this stuff. I'll stick to my paranormal stuff and my video games, and that'll be enough of it, you know. I've I've dealt with a lot of issues. There's a lot of this stuff isn't what it's made out to be. You have to deal with different people from different backgrounds. I've met amazing people, but I've also met people who freaking are just completely fucking crazy. That's just the best way of saying it. I've met people who just gone from freaking one person to another overnight. I've gone through people freaking turning around and thinking that freaking other people are freaking like Elon Musk and shit. You know what I mean? And going nuts because the wrong thing was said to them, and just over time it's like a rubber band getting ready to explode, and you're there waiting and watching, and eventually it happens. I've had people freaking get mad at other people and take it out on me. People who said that freaking they were all there with me and cool with me and loved me and everything, but the moment they got mad at me, they freaking turned on me like a freaking turned on me in a heartbeat, basically, is what I need to say. You know what I mean? So I've met a lot of people who say one thing and then later on they just completely turn into completely different people. I'm not really all that much of a people person in the first place. I isolate from a lot of people. I used to not be that way, but I've become that way in the last 15 years or so. And it's hard to open up to people and try to talk to them and become, and be myself, because that's the one thing I can't handle. I can't handle freaking people betraying me like that and turning on me like they have, and then try to turn it around on me like I was the one responsible. You know what I mean? That's the part that really gets me. You know what I mean? If you freaking don't want to hang out with me and you don't want to be cool with me no more, at least say it. Don't freaking run around deleting my fucking groups and saying freaking that it's my fault when you're the ones that was freaking bailing on me. You know what I mean? Come on, dude. Telling me that freaking I'm treating you like a freaking employee, and then you turn around and go and do the same thing with another person. The exact same thing, man. Freaking acting like an employee to them. I was just hanging out. I do a lot of shit on the internet. Okay, I do a lot of shit. And that's all it is. I don't try to employ or imply that I'm freaking your boss or anything like that. If you can't keep up with me, it's cool. But just don't try to turn it around like freaking it was me. You know what I mean? When I know damn well it wasn't me. I think that was the final blow for me that really turned me off on this live stream thing, and trying to collaborate with other people. The one person or the one group of people that I actually do enjoy doing my stuff with now is actually the people on Wonderful World of Weirdness. I just can't handle the crazy shit, and they're not really the ones who are crazy, you know what I mean? They're actually nice people who don't want to hurt people and treat people like shit, and those are the kind of people I'm going to stick with. They're the ones who I started out with, so I'm going to stick with that. I'll keep up with the gaming stuff, and that'll be the end of it. So, with that being said, I'm going to end this, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.